Hi, I'm Dianne Peterson. Welcome to Our Children on Earth. We're here virtually, of course. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about plastics, one of my favorite subjects, but not one of my favorite materials. We have a short time to talk about this topic, and I hope that you can at least take this one really important takeaway. It's time for us to consider lessening our dependence on plastics. Why? Because plastics pose a risk to the health of our environment, the air, the land, and our oceans. It poses a risk to the health of our wildlife and a risk to our human health. Plastics are a risk at every part of their existence, from the collection of the raw materials, they are based on fossil fuels, from the production of plastics, during the use of plastics, and eventually disposal, whether proper or improper. Plastics are a risk to us. If you want to know more, I highly recommend checking this out, seal.org. They have some excellent sources, and it'll be well worth your time. Do you remember the original 3 R's of sustainability? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Well, reduce and reuse are still a really good concept, as is recycling for certain things. So recycling still works well for paper, for metal, and for glass. As far as plastics, plastics, recycling is not the solution. In fact, did you know if you look at the entire history of plastic recycling, only 10% of plastics have ever been recycled. And of those that have been recycled, that means downcycling. And that's a whole nother talk. In the few minutes we have left together, I obviously can't cover all of that, but what I can do is share a few quick tips of how you can reduce plastics in your daily life. In these days of COVID-19, I know some people think that adding disposable plastics in our life might be a useful thing. I have a lot of feelings on that, but not a lot of time. But what I can recommend is that you go to Pass Up, Pittsburghers Against Single-Use Plastics, and there's a lot of great information there. And specifically, I want to point out a probably virtual meeting that will be happening soon, and that will be one of the topics of our discussion then, COVID-19 and plastics. And if you have any questions about all the things I've said today, or you'd like to know more about what I do, please feel free to check out my website, my Facebook page, or just reach out to me personally. Thanks. And a shorter version of me would like to ask you, how about making this the time to say goodbye to plastics? How do you do that? Well, it's simple. Be mindful in where and what you purchase, reuse what you have, and do it yourself. So let's start with something that's near and dear to all of us, food. When you go shopping for food, be mindful of where you shop and what you buy. Be mindful of where you shop and that some stores are much better at giving us a lot of plastic alternatives than others. And when you do make a choice in your store and you choose not to buy something that perhaps comes in a non-recyclable clamshell, tell the manager, tell them why you're not purchasing what they have. And when you are purchasing things, think, can you buy it in bulk? That's a great way to get rid of plastics. And even if you're buying, let's say, spinach, there's choices. You can buy it in this plastic clamshell that even if your recycler says you can put it in the bin, this was never recycled and probably never will be. So ditch this. You can buy it like I do in the bulk bin or with just a simple metal tie. And if you shop at a farmer's market, tell them of their options too. Tell them that they could ditch these plastic bins or their plastic produce bags and they could go to something like this. It's very sturdy and it's compostable in your compost bin at home. And remember, bring your own bag. Food storage. If you follow my recommendations and shop at farmers markets or from the bulk bin, you're going to need to have something about food storage. So two of my favorite things are glass bottles, which I'm sure at some point you'll purchase something out of a glass bottle. Save it. They make great storage for the refrigerator, for the freezer. You can microwave them. They're great. Also, I really enjoy using non-plastic baggies, silicone baggies. They're great also for freezer, fridge, microwave, oven, sous vide. Here I have some meat in my freezer. I have some produce. I highly recommend that your fruit, your kale, your onions, all kinds of things can be stored in these in your freezer. And then lastly, and this, like I said, glass, this makes great for your chicken stock in the freezer in glass. Works just fine. Another thing I use for storage is these waxed fabrics. You can either make them yourself or you can purchase them ready-made. They work really great for any odd shapes or work as excellent for a cover for a bowl that doesn't have a cover, as does this silicone lid. I want to show you how I make my cookie dough. So I make my cookie dough, I wrap it in my waxed cloth and freeze it, and this stays good for up to 6 months. So that's one of the ways you can store it without using plastics. I hope you've enjoyed this time together, and I hope you learned something new, and found something useful. Remember, keep in touch. If you have any questions or you'd like to learn more about what I have to offer you, you know where to find me. Our Children, Our Earth, Toys, and Eco Goods. Thanks so much.